I got a little bit of a new setup, so if it looks a little bare, sorry. I tried to throw a little friends back there. Maybe it looks kind of cute. I don't know. But today we got a fun video because it is once again time to find out if more people are assholes. Hey babes! Welcome or welcome back to Moonbae Crochet. It is Brandy and today I am here to read you more r/am I the asshole stories that pertain to crafting. I've mentioned to you guys in a few of the other, like the last few r/am I the asshole stories, that the crochet and knitting stories were getting a little harder to come by. I feel like I kind of bled Reddit dry with those ones, but I was like, I know there's got to be more out there. So I just decided to search up crafting related stories that don't necessarily have to be about crochet and knit, but they still kind of fit in with the vibe of our channel here. So if you're ready to listen to some wacky stories regarding people's experiences and whether or not they are assholes in whatever craft area they partake in, then stay tuned, subscribe if you're not already, and leave a like if you do end up enjoying this video. If you are new here, my name is Brandy. I love to do crochet content on here, sharing patterns and projects that I love, sitting down, having a chill crochet and chit chat moment, just getting cute, cozy, and crafty with y'all. So if any of that kind of content sounds interesting to you, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, sticking around. We have lots of fun here. And without further ado, let's hop right into today's wacky stories. The first story we're going to be reading today is titled, Am I the Asshole for Being Upset About Husband and Mother-in-Law quote-unquote organizing my craft room? Don't touch a woman's craft room. Mother-in-law organized my craft room while we were on vacation. Then my husband lied to me to my face about it. We moved to a new house a few months ago. I've still had many boxes in my craft room to unpack. My husband has asked me before if I wanted help with the room, and I've always said no because I don't want anyone else messing with my stuff. I didn't have the moving company touch it, and I intentionally packed it so that I could reorganize it whenever I unpacked it. It would be more difficult for someone who doesn't know what they're looking at to go through it and try to do something with my stuff. So, my husband decided it would be helpful to go behind my back and have his mom do it. I noticed it as soon as I got home. I asked him if he had his mom do it. He completely lied to my face and told me he hired an organizing company to come in. It's the most disorganized mess I've ever seen. I got suspicious a few days ago whenever it was so poorly organized that there were greeting cards in 3 different areas of the room. I decided to go through my husband's phone because he kept saying it was this company he found on Facebook. I was curious what company he hired and also wanted to verify if it was really mother-in-law like I suspected. Sure enough, it was his mom. I actually don't know if she just decided to do it or if he asked her. I'm seriously upset about it though. I don't think I can post screenshots of their convo, but basically she asked about cameras in our house and was worried I would go back and see it was really her. He said not to worry, I didn't know how to use the cameras. I do. She said to make sure he sticks to the story of it being an organizing company because later if you admit it, she'll hold it against me that I lied to her. He said not to worry and that he would take the fall if she ever finds out. So who is the asshole here? I did go through his phone and got very upset and yelled at my husband about it. So would I be the asshole here? No. Look, I do think that, yeah, it is an infringement on his privacy to be going through his phone. That's not right. However, lying to you also is not right either. And I don't understand why, if this craft room is your craft room and he doesn't have any business being in there or whatever, why does it bother him if it's not unpacked yet or you haven't taken the time to organize it yet? Personally, I don't see what the issue is, and like obviously if you're just waiting for the right time or you want to do it yourself, it's your stuff, you want to make sure that everything goes where you want it to go. I completely understand that. Like, no, I would get pissed off too if I literally explicitly told somebody, hey, no, don't touch my stuff, I'll do it, and then they went behind my back and did it anyways. But then to craft a lie, like, it's one thing to just do that and go against your wishes and like have the mother-in-law go in and organize your stuff, right? But it's a completely different thing when you come home from vacation, you notice what's been done, right? And you're like, what the hell, who touched my stuff? And you figure, okay, well, this guy's been bugging me. He's been, saying, oh, like his mother could help me, whatever. So you ask him about it, and then he has the nerve to tell you, oh no, I hired some company. Like, what? I don't know, man. That's crazy. So no, I don't think you're an asshole. I think he is for sure. And your mother-in-law also, because she knew too that you didn't want this done and she went against your wishes and did it anyway. Like that's crazy. Who does that? So no, you're definitely not the asshole here. Maybe a little because he went through his phone, but at the same time it's like, well, what are you gonna do? There's no such thing as a perfect victim. And all I'm saying is yeah, you might be a little bit of an for going through his phone, but that is not the crux of the issue here. So, in my opinion, no, you're fine. He's an asshole. So is your mother-in-law. And let's see what other people have to say. This person says, not the asshole. You should box it all up and then organize it in a place of your own because it's only going downhill from here unless you take those craft scissors and cut the umbilical cord from his mother. Yikes. This one says, my question is, why was organizing your craft room such a big deal that your husband and mother-in-law went to great lengths to scheme and plot and lie? That is extremely troublesome and suggests that their effort was not about helping you but something else. You have every right to be upset. Going through his phone was not cool, but a far less concern than him and his mom gaslighting you. Confront him, and if he tries to veer the conversation to you looking through his phone, redirect him and tell him that you can talk about his concern once you're done talking about your concern. My gut is unsettled with this one, and I hope it all works out for you. Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. It wasn't cool to go through his phone, like you shouldn't do that. But, I mean, if he's gonna sit there and lie to you, it's kind of like, well, the truth will find its way out, even if it takes a little bit of digging. And yeah, still, I'm not really understanding what the big deal was. If it's your craft room, it's not like, it's a shared space where he also needs to go in there and do work. So it's like, who cares? What does he care? I don't know. That's kind of ridiculous to me. And this one says, not the asshole. That is such a violation of your space and your clearly stated wishes for your craft supplies. I have to wonder why your husband did this when he knew it was not what you wanted. His lying is a problem, but even if he really had hired someone to do this, it was still wrong to interfere with your plans and your things. Exactly. Even if the lie that he was telling you was true, it still went against what you wanted, and he knew exactly that you didn't want anybody else touching your stuff, and you wanted to organize it in the way that you felt comfortable doing so. So yeah, he's the asshole here, not you. Next story. This next story is titled, Am I the Asshole for Being Surprised at How Much My Girlfriend Sells Her Hobby Craft For? I, 33 male, and my girlfriend, 27 female, have been living together for about a year, together for 2. Since we've been together, she's always had this hobby of making dice for TTRPGs. I don't really understand how it works because I'm not into it, but the dice she makes are beautiful, even to someone who doesn't understand. She's always sold them. She takes a long weekend every fortnight and mass produces 20 or so full sets, then she sells them. They always sell out pretty instantly, and I knew she made money, but not how much, and to be honest, I don't really care as long as she pays her half of the bills, which she always does. Unfortunately, after making them this past weekend, she broke her wrist and she needed help putting her listings up because she can't type well. I found out that she sells them for 100 to 115 pounds. I expressed my surprise that people spend that much on these things. She was offended, and I tried to explain that I didn't mean it like that, and I just don't understand why people would spend that amount of money on things like this. It wasn't supposed to be an insult at her artistry. She was upset and ended up asking someone else to help her and expressed how hurt she was because she worked so hard on them. She hasn't been silent as such, but definitely withdrawn, and things aren't the same. I can tell she's upset with me, and her sister keeps calling me a dick. Am I the asshole here? Oh, wow. I mean, I think that this is a pretty nuanced conversation, in my opinion. I think that, yeah, if you're not into a certain hobby or you're not into a craft and, like, you understand that she, like, takes time and makes these things, right? And you know that she sells them, but you don't really know the ins and outs of every little thing that she's doing. It can sound surprising. I think that when you're not into doing these types of things, like for example, I make plushies and I make coasters and I make other things, right? And I do sell them as well, keychains, whatever. And yeah, to somebody who has no idea how crochet works and how long it takes to do something and how maybe something that just looks simple, but it was actually pretty complicated, could have taken hours to make. Yeah, they might look at that and be like, what are you talking about? You're selling this like stuffed animal for $60, $70, whatever the case may be, you know? I could absolutely understand why they would be surprised. So I don't think that you're an asshole for saying like, oh my gosh, like people spend that much money on these things, right? It was a little bit insensitive, I think, because she does work hard and all of these things are handmade, and I think that the people who are buying them, they know that, and they want these one of a kind dice that she's making, and it's really cool to them, and so they see the value in it. And I think that your comment probably made her feel like you don't see the value in it and you think that this is just like silly work that she's doing, which I completely understand. You're saying you didn't mean it like that. I get it, but I think this is like a whole situation of, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Your tone of voice, or your shock, or your surprise of thinking like, maybe it made her think like you were thinking, I would never spend this type of money on something like this, and blah blah blah. I get why she got upset, but I don't think you're an asshole for this comment. I just think it just came off wrong. But let's see what other people have to say. This one says, I'm going with not the asshole. I totally understand what you meant. I can't understand people paying hundreds of dollars for Legos. It's nothing I've ever cared about. Same with concerts. I'm not a huge music person. So spending a ton of money to go to a concert seems bizarre and wasteful to me. That doesn't mean I don't recognize singers' talents as artists or that Legos can't be amazing. It just means I don't get it. I think your girlfriend is insulted because she feels you were saying you don't think her dice were worth the cost, not that you were surprised people would spend that much on dice. She feels insulted and her feelings are valid. Maybe try to find an analogy, something she doesn't see value in but can be very expensive for those that do. Yeah, I think that that's a good way to put it. Kind of try to explain to her I totally was not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry if it came off as insensitive. And who knows, maybe she's not into crochet and you could bring that up, something like that, right? I think that that's a good middle ground. You clearly weren't trying to piss her off or make her feel bad. It just was an unfortunate misunderstanding, I think. This one says, yes, the asshole. Here's why. Hobby. You called it a hobby, and you didn't even know how much she sells them for, how it works, or even ever look at her store. This isn't about your single comment. This is a long 2 years of you belittling her business. It's her job, whether you've meant to or not. Bro, 2 years and you've never looked? Not even once? Bruh. Yeah, I think that's a little bit too, black and white, plain. You've been together 2 years and you don't even know, but I don't know. I've been with my man for 7 years, and he doesn't know off the top of my head how much I would charge to do something because he's not into this craft, right? And I don't expect him to sit around and be studying my store and stuff like that. But one thing I will say is that he does understand the time and effort and work that goes into crochet. So if anybody were to ever ask him hey, how much would your lady charge to make this beanie, right? He's never just gonna tell them, oh, probably $25. No, he is always going to tell them, oh, let me ask her. Then he comes to me and he's like, hey, somebody wants this beanie, they want it in this colors, how long would that take you? Do you know about how quickly you could get that done, and also how much would it be? And anytime I give him a price or a timeline, he never questions it. He's always just oh, okay, cool, I'll let them know, I'll see if they still want it, blah blah blah. And so I think there's a good, you can find a balance without being very much writing him off as, oh, he doesn't care and he's belittling her business. It's not, I don't think it's that serious. And this one says, considering you've been dating for 2 years, it's kind of weird that you don't know how much she sells her crafts for. If this is her main hobby, it seems like you should know a bit more about it. How much she's selling them for. Showing interest and respect in learning about your partner's interests is kind of important to the long-term health of a relationship. I think that was a little bit of a better way to put the previous comment. But yes, I do understand that also. But, again, I don't think he meant any harm by saying oh my God, people spend that much for dice, because he would never spend that much on dice. But he's not saying these handmade dice are not worth that price and blah blah blah. So in my opinion, not an asshole, just made a comment and didn't really come out the way that he intended it to. So you're good. Hope everything worked out for you, king. The next story is titled, Am I the asshole for donating my wife's art supplies to charity? I have a feeling this one's gonna piss me off. Just a hunch. For the past several years, my wife and I have been empty nesters. We have many nieces and nephews. My wife is the oldest of 8 kids, but our own kids have gotten jobs and places of their own. Ordinarily, this would be perfectly fine, but my wife insists on keeping art supplies in a storage cabinet in our garage. They only get used when we have large family gatherings at our house, and otherwise they sit untouched. Her family has swelled so much that accommodating all of them in our tiny rancher just isn't practical anymore. I decided last week that it was time to do the charitable thing and donate the supplies to Goodwill. I got a large trash bag and started emptying the cabinet into it. She had a deceptively large amount of supplies in it, so it took longer than expected. But this was now the perfect space to store my power tools. What? Well, earlier today, my wife opened up the cabinet and threw a fit. She didn't see any of her construction paper, paints, markers, or pipe cleaners, and instead saw my drills and chainsaw. She immediately marched into the house and started blaming me. She said that I should have asked her before throwing away her things. I asked her to please calm down and told her that none of her things had been thrown away. They had merely been donated to help those less fortunate. My wife was still yelling at me, so I asked her if she thought it was fair for poor people to rely only on freshly purchased supplies, which they likely couldn't afford anyway, in order to be creative. At this point, my wife just shook her head, called me a stupid ass, then left the room. She has since revealed to me that she was going to bring some of her supplies to our Easter supper in order to create bunnies out of paper plates with our young nieces and nephews. I couldn't believe she didn't tell me first. If I had known that, I would have only donated the supplies not on the list for this particular craft. There's a bug on my desk. Disgusting. Anyway, my wife still appears angry at me, and I think that this was at least partially her fault for poor communication. Besides, over the past few years, I have used my tools numerous times for jobs around the house. I just wish she could see my point of view and stop treating me like a pariah. Am I the asshole? This story doesn't even feel real to me, actually. I feel like I just got duped into reading this stupid story. Because what the do you mean? So, why didn't she tell me that she was going to use some of the supplies to make... I don't know. Maybe because she didn't know that you were going to take all of her shit and donate it. Which, by the way... donating something to Goodwill is not the same as donating it to charity. I mean, at least not in my opinion, okay? Maybe I'm misinformed here, but Goodwill is not like a non-profit. Maybe they do, yes, like help certain communities and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's a store. And yeah, they're gonna sell the stuff for like marked down prices, but I think if you really wanted to donate something to charity and it's a bunch of craft supplies, you could have taken it to like a school, you could have taken it to like a children's hospital. I don't know, that those things seem more like reasonable to me. You just wanted to dump off your wife's stuff, and you were like, okay, well, Goodwill, I can donate it to Goodwill, like who cares, whatever. Okay, the point is, this story seems fake to me, but if it is real, if this woman is unfortunate to be married to somebody like this, then prayers up to her. And personally, I do think that he is an asshole, and this is ridiculous. Why are you even asking that? Obviously, yes, you are an asshole. Let's see what others have to say. This one says, yes, the asshole. She didn't need to tell you that she had a planned craft. They weren't your supplies to donate. You had the obligation to ask her if there was anything she would like to donate. You could have simply gone out and gotten yourself a cabinet for your tools, but instead rummaged through her cabinet and did what you wanted. Great, you use your tools. If you were my husband, I would have half a mind to throw them in the nearest dumpster. This one says, yes, the asshole. And given your age, if you still need to ask what you did wrong, you've been the asshole for a very long time. And this one says, yes, the asshole. They weren't yours to give away. Not without asking first. It doesn't matter that she only uses them every once in a while. They obviously mean a lot to her. Donating them does not make it any better. You still took something that she cared about away from her without asking first. As far as her not telling you what she had planned to do with them, that shouldn't matter. They were hers, and she had an expectation that they would be safe, not that her spouse would simply take away something that belongs to her. This has nothing to do with her communication skills. And, of course, buried in your text is the real reason for all of this. You now have room for your power tools. Yeah, exactly. This is so stupid. I really, to me, this story seems fake. There's no way. There's no way that you'd be asking, am I the asshole? Yeah, obviously. Obviously. Next story. Alright, the last story that we're going to be reading today is titled, Am I the Asshole? asshole for asking my neighbor to move her craft room to a different bedroom. My husband and I live in an upstairs 3-bedroom flat, and the flat below us is the same layout. The house has been for sale for a while, and recently a woman bought it. It turns out she doesn't have any children, so I found it strange she bought a 3-bedroom house, but I soon found out it's because she runs a craft business from home and needs 2 bedrooms to run it. The problem is, unfortunately, she has decided to use the main bedroom, which is below us, as her main craft room. At first it was fine, as she hadn't fully moved in, but now it's driving me crazy. She's in that room almost all day, and I can hear her walking about and the faint noise of machines. I don't spend long in my bedroom during the day, but when I do go in it, it just annoys me knowing that she's there constantly. Like, why can't she have picked the smaller bedroom since she knows the kids are at school all day? She always stops using her embroidery and sewing machines by 7 p.m., but she's told me she can sit up until 10 p.m. some nights finishing off orders, which plays on my mind. I go to bed at 9 p.m. and I can't sleep for hours as I lie there listening to her every move. Just knowing she's awake and walking about drives me crazy, as I find it so selfish someone would buy a flat and work from home. My husband says he can barely hear a thing during the day and I need to calm down. He also doesn't see the big deal about her using her house as she pleases. Yesterday, I finally had enough and went to her door. I told her how I was feeling about everything, and how I can hear the faint noise of her machines. She apologized and invited me inside to show me her setup. All her machines are on some sort of anti-vibration padding to stop as much noise as possible, so she claims the noise should be minimal, and that you need to expect some noise from neighbors. I told her I don't make any noise, and that's when things took a turn, as she said she can hear my kids running around and jumping off furniture all evening, but she would never dream of complaining, because it's just one of those things when you share a building with other people. I left before I said anything else I regretted, and I thought that was the end of it. But today, my husband came home from working overnight and asked if I had said anything to the woman downstairs, as she was very cold and blunt with him when he said hello. I told him what happened, and he said I'm a massive asshole. I've spoken to a couple of my friends who think I've handled this completely wrong, and I'm a bit of an asshole for it, but I don't see what else I could have done. What? Okay, well, you didn't even end your story how they normally do. Like, so am I the asshole here? But I'll tell you, yes, you are. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. I live in a small apartment, okay? And I thank God every day that I got a bottom apartment, like the downstairs one, because I lived upstairs. Like, I've never lived in a house, okay? I have always lived in apartments my entire life, even from when I was a child, right? And so even as a kid, living upstairs, my mom would always teach me, like, okay, but don't run through the apartment. You need to walk, don't be pounding, don't be jumping, don't be doing all these things because you don't want to disturb the downstairs neighbors. Like, I knew this, right? However, you're never going to expect zero noise. I have an upstairs neighbor right now. I can hear her walking through the apartment, when it's nighttime and it's quiet. Like, I can hear the creaking of the, floor. What the hell am I gonna do? Like, call her up and be like, hey, you need to stop. You need to just go to sleep when I go to sleep. Like, that is insane. These are the types of things that you can expect when living in a shared building. If you don't want any noise, then you need to go get your money up and go buy a house. And if you can't do that, like I can't do that, like I ain't judging, okay, this economy's crap. But if you can't do that, then you need to expect, okay, well, now I have neighbors and I'm going to, expect noise. Like, that's just how this goes. Look, I have a neighbor who has 4 freaking dogs, okay? And every damn morning, okay? It doesn't matter if I have the day off, if I'm up early, whatever the case may be, the second that they leave for work in the morning, those dogs start howling, okay? And let me just say this, it's before 8 a.m. Okay, those dogs howl for a solid 30 seconds, which sounds quick, okay? But 30 seconds is a long time when you're just literally listening to dogs whining and crying and whatever because their owner is going off to work. And it's an everyday thing. I'm always thinking, do these dogs not get it? She's coming back in 7-8 hours. It's irritating. It is irritating. But what are you going to do? I live in a pet-friendly apartment complex. That's just the name of the game. There's going to be barking. There's going to be walking. People are going to be cooking things that don't smell good to you. People are, that's just the nature of living in a shared building. And the fact that she's going out of her way to have her set up to where, okay, like I have these mats that are going to minimize the vibration. She stops working. She stops using the machines by 7 p.m. every day, which is crazy. I don't know about where these people live, but in my city, quiet hours are 10 p.m. and beyond. Anytime before 10 p.m., make as much noise as you want, and cops or security, they're not going to come and do anything about it because you're well within your right to be making as much noise as you need to during these hours, unless you're like, obviously doing something insane or whatever, somebody's screaming their head off. But you know what I mean? Have your music on, do whatever you're going to do. Once 10 p.m. hits, then it's quiet hours, right? But this person turns off their machines by 7 p.m. every night, and you are mad just because she's still awake past the time that you're awake. She's finishing off orders. You can hear her walking. Like, I could not imagine being so bothered that I would go and tell somebody like, hey, I can hear you like until 10 p.m. every night. What's that about? You need to be quiet. Like, no, you get out, go move somewhere else if it's such an issue, because that's crazy. And then the fact that you are upstairs and you have kids are noisy. Kids run around, and even she said, well, I can hear your kids running around all crazy, but I don't say anything because that's just the nature of what this type of building is. She is so valid. You are insane. Yes, you are the asshole, and your husband was right to call you so. I can't. How embarrassing for you and him that you would do that. Ugh. Wow. Let's see what others have to say. This one says, I find it so selfish that someone would buy a flat and work from home. What? You're a massive asshole. She can do whatever she wants in her own home. Or would you rather she sat there in silence on the dole? I don't really know what that means, but I agree. This one says, yes, the asshole. Faint noise. Wow, play some music or get a white noise machine. The fact that you know what time she does things is creepy. Yeah, for real. I have a white noise machine. It's great. It helps me sleep. Amazing. This one says, yes, the asshole. Yes, a single, childless woman can buy as big of a house as she pleases. Yes, she can use the rooms however she wants within the confines of any homeowners association rules and the law. Yes, your children probably make far more of a ruckus than her machines. Have you considered getting anti-vibration padding for them? Yes, you have too much time on your hands if you're constantly obsessing about her crafting. You need to go downstairs and apologize to her, then ask for tips on picking up a hobby. You definitely need one, and it sounds like she's an expert. Yeah, I heavily agree. You're definitely the asshole in this situation, and I hope your neighbor is living her best life and crafting up a storm. I would honestly stay up later on purpose, and no, I wouldn't be like having my machines going at all hours of the night, but I would probably stay up later and just walk around for the fun of it, because what? And she's downstairs too. The downstairs people make far less noise than the upstairs people, because it's not like she's taking a broom and like hitting the ceiling, you know what I'm talking about? Like, this is insane. Yes, the asshole. And with all that being said, that was today's episode of r/am I the Asshole crafting edition. I hope you had fun here today. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already for more videos just like this. Lots more fun videos to come. I got some market prep updates. I got some crochet and chit chats planned, more reading stories. Oh, and also I do a series as well, in case you're new here, where I read subscriber submitted stories. They don't have to be crazy, absurd stories like r/am I the Asshole stories. They can be funny memories, cutesy stories, how you got into the craft that you're into, or you can even just share with me pictures of whips or finished projects that you're proud of. My email is always linked down below, so if you would like to be featured in one of those videos, you are completely free to be absolutely anonymous. If you'd like to, just let me know. So my inbox is always linked down below if you want to send me anything for one of those types of videos. And anyway, with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. As always, I so appreciate you. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of your day, week, month, night, whatever you're having. Please enjoy yourself, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!